Good morning, Guelph. My name is Mark Peralivas, and that rhymes with for all of us. And I'm the People's Party candidate for the Guelph riding for the October 21st federal election. I hope you vote for me. Today I've got some updates for you. Yesterday, there was supposed to be a debate at the University of Guelph hosted by the CSA and CUPE 1334. They canceled that debate, and they tried to blame me for that cancellation. Me and the People's Party of Canada for the audacity of asking to be invited. So I want to show you that I did have an invite to this, and I want to go through the Guelph Mercury Tribune article and show the inaccuracies in the reporting in that, including the headline, which is interesting what they chose to use. And we'll get there, but here we go. First, here's the emails. On September 27th, I sent an email to the CSA president and I posted on the Facebook page of the event. And I said, hello, you're running an all candidates discussion at the University of Guelph. I'm a federal candidate. I would like to be invited. Was this an oversight? And they got back to me on the same day, and I was shocked, and it was great. And they said, hello, Mark. Thank you for inquiring about the oversight of the election discussion on October 2nd. Sorry for the oversight. You are welcome to participate in the event, as all parties are welcome. We will be in touch with details. And I said, wonderful. Thank you so much. I look forward to it. And I signed my name, and I got my phone number there, and I never received a phone call. No problem. They said they'd be in touch. So I waited. And then on September 30th, they sent this email. They said, hello, Mark. I'm sorry for the confusion. However, we have had to rescind the invitation for the People's Party of Canada to participate in the jointly hosted debate by the CSA and CUPE 1334 on the University of Guelph campus. The CSA's mandate is to contribute to a positive atmosphere of acceptance, inclusion, belonging, and safety on campus. Our understanding of your party's platform directly contradicts this mandate, and therefore my late invitation to you was mistaken. Best. And I responded a few minutes later and I said, hello, what part of my party's platform goes against your mandate specifically? Thanks, Mark Peralivas. I never heard back, despite them having my phone number and me asking to solve this problem by understanding why I was being removed from the event. They never called me back, so I contacted the university. The university and I had a conversation, and well, then this was released. I've read this out already, but I'll give you the too long didn't read. They claimed that I'm not invited on the grounds of safety, hatred, and discrimination. They say, quote, based on the platform of the People's Party of Canada, the decision was made to not invite the PPC candidate because of their policies and platforms that discriminate against people in the University of Guelph community. And they say the organizers of the event stand by the decision not to let the PPC candidate speak on campus. We do not want to compromise the safety of our students and workers by bringing this candidate and supporters to campus, and therefore this event has been canceled. So I think that it's funny. I mean, they don't have control of me speaking on campus. That's why I laughed. I go to campus regularly. My kids take skating there. I'll be doing interviews there today and tomorrow. I mean, this is a ridiculous thing, and the CSA and CUPE 1334 don't have carte blanche. They don't get to control the whole university campus. So I think that that's funny. But I mean, they can put that in the letter if they want to. So I was interviewed yesterday by the Guelph Mercury, and I was interviewed by Guelph Today, and I was interviewed by a couple other people, and there's other media asking for my opinion on this because it has to do with me and because they're not telling the truth about me. And so after I told the Guelph Mercury Tribune all of this and how inaccurate this letter was and how, ill-advised this letter was, this is the article they wrote. So we're going to go through it, and I'm going to just kind of add color commentary because that's what I do with politics. It's not often that I'm the news, but today I'm the news. So here we go. Guelph Mercury Tribune is reporting, quote, thinly veiled attempt of pushing white supremacy, U of Guelph debate canceled over PPC candidate. Okay. Organizers say Peralivas not invited due to party's platform. Peralivas says he's investigating his options over libelous statement. Yep. The local People's Party candidate says he's considering his legal options after an all-candidates debate on the University of Guelph campus was canceled because of him. Quote, the statement they released is, libelous. So I'm investigating my options. Mark Peralivas, the party's Guelph candidate, told the Mercury Tribune Wednesday morning. According to a Tuesday statement from the Central Student Association and CUPE Local 1334, which represents the campus trades, maintenance, and service workers, Peralivas had not been invited to a debate scheduled for Wednesday because of the PPC's policies platforms that discriminate against people in the University of Guelph community, particularly marginalized groups. I was invited, and then they rescinded the invitation. Okay, back to this. Quote, I asked previously through email which platforms in the platform discriminate against anybody, and I didn't hear back, Peralivas said in response. This letter just says that I am discriminating. That's an unfounded statement while you're besmirching my reputation. Also, the quotes in this article don't speak the way I speak. And I know I have a very notable or very recognizable speech pattern because of the way I speak. But the way the quotes are written, there's a couple more that are worse, and we'll get there. It's very strange because this has happened a lot in newspaper articles where I'm misquoted or the quote sounds very jarring to speak or to in your head to read. It sounds very strange. And I have this recorded. I didn't speak in that way. It's very strange. Anyway, back to the article. However, both Hareen Hassan, the vice president external for CSA, I was communicating with the president, by the way, if you check the emails, and Jensen Williams with CUPE 1334 pointed to the PPC's policies around immigration and refugees. Quickly, I want to point out that they don't cite any specific platform plank, and I'll put the links to the articles of our platform in here. They're not racist or sexist or any of these things that are being said about them. You can make up your own mind, however, and read them yourself. They're fiscal, not based on race or anything to that effect. However, carry on. Quote, "We've got nothing against the PPC candidate in Guelph. We're just looking at the bigger picture and looking at the People's Party and what they stand for," Hassan said. "They're anti-migrant, anti-immigrant, anti-refugee policies. They are really, really hateful." I want to pause here. I'm a first-generation Canadian. My father is a citizen who had to get his citizenship. He was born in Greece and moved to Canada when he was older, but still a child. My mom moved to Canada when she was 18, and she's not a citizen. She's a permanent resident. I am a first-generation Canadian. I believe in immigration, but I believe in not bankrupting our country to continually bring in immigrants because our economy needs to continue growing. And I believe that that's why we're doing it, among other reasons. So I think that we need to take stock of what's happening and reduce our immigration numbers and make sure those immigration numbers are meeting needs of Canada and not just bringing people for the sake of bringing people, because that doesn't solve Canada's problems. And we have some problems in Canada. So I think it's funny that they are allowed in a newspaper to say they're hateful, anti-immigrant, anti-migrant, anti-refugee, and really, really hateful when they're not willing to engage with me in a conversation. Clearly, as I asked, which policies are hateful? Specifically, let's have a conversation and solve the problem. And instead, they released a public letter slandering me and libeling me. Interesting, right? Back to the article. Williams pointed to the party's platform positions calling for immigration candidates to be assessed if they align with Canadian values and given priority to refugees that reject political Islam and adhere to Western values. Oh, maybe it's the Western values, but here's the problem with that. Western values have been clearly defined by Mr. Bernier over and over again, and they are freedom, respect, personal responsibility, and fairness. And in addition, here are the Western values that are espoused by Mr. Bernier and the People's Party of Canada. It says, quote, "When I say that newcomers to Canada must integrate into our society and share our values, it is to these Western values that I am referring. Democracy, individual rights and freedoms, including freedom of religious belief and freedom to criticize religion, equality between men and women, the equal treatment of all citizens regardless of ethnicity, religion, or sexual orientation, the rule of law, separation of state and religion, tolerance and pluralism, loyalty to the wider society instead of to one's own clan or tribe." That is what is being spoken about with Western values, yet this article spins it into a white supremacy, and then they use that as the title. Unbelievable, because it's completely false, totally inaccurate, and it's completely, it's made up because it has nothing to do with the Western values that are being espoused by my party. It has nothing to do with democracy or individual rights or rule of law. That has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with hate. That has everything to do with values that are common among our countrymen and women. Right? Unbelievable. Back to the article. Their platform, sorry, hold on, just give me a second. Here's the article, we're back. "Their platform is a really thinly veiled attempt of pushing white supremacy," she said. So they used that quote as the title? Really? Come on, Guelph Mercury. These people have misrepresented the PPC's platform positions, and you use their quote in the article headline? Editorialization. Massive editorialization. Maybe the headline could be descriptive of the situation. PPC candidate uninvited due to organizers' misunderstanding of the platform. That would be maybe my headline. Back to the article. Given the way their platform is worded and the increasing amount of referring to Western and Canadian national identity, I think really what this means is a white identity and those who do not bring into this country their own cultural values, specifically for Muslim individuals who adhere to Islam. In nowhere in the platform does it talk specifically about Muslim individuals. And in fact, Salim Mansour seems to be a very, very close advisor to Mr. Bernier. He's been touring with Mr. Bernier, and he's a Muslim person from London who is enthusiastic about the People's Party of Canada. That's ignored as well. And again, last I checked, democracy, freedom of to criticize a religion, freedom of individual rights, and religious belief, equality between men and women, these things are not race-based. These things are value-based. These things are choices you get to make. Back to the article. It's very, very strange to understand what's in the policy and to have these people have so much space to spread misinformation. So here we go. And I want to say as well, this paragraph is talking about political Islam. Nobody asked me one question about political Islam, not once. And yet I'm on record here as having a response to it. Nobody asked me about this. I'll read the article. Peralvis disagrees with that notion, saying the PPC's platform does not target specific populations. I did talk about that. I said we're not hateful to anyone at all. Back to this. We're talking about fiscal policies to run the country, he said. We're not talking about hating specific people or groups, period. And that's true of our policy platforms, all of them. And here's a link to my video that I did yesterday. Hassan and Williams also cited student safety as a reason to cancel the debate, with the latter pointing to a recent event in Hamilton. On Sunday, 4 people were arrested following clashes between protesters and counter-protesters at Mohawk College's West Mountain campus, where PPC leader Maxime Bernier was holding a fundraiser with YouTube personality and political commentator Dave Rubin. Do you guys remember this story? This is Antifa, the absolutely morally and intellectually corrupt, ridiculous organization that thought that it was a good idea to stand in front of a woman with a walker on a crosswalk who was trying to cross the street and say Nazi scum off our streets. This is where your movement jumps the shark, Antifa, and this is ridiculous, but I'll point out the PPC had nothing to do with this. They held an event, we held an event, and Antifa protested. This is a different situation, and making a comparison without giving the full context, i.e. Antifa organized the protests, is irresponsible of the Guelph Mercury. It's the same as saying the Western values lead to white supremacy without pushing back and saying, actually, these are the Western values. Guelph Mercury, you should have done that. You should have done and asked me about that, because your article title is misinformed entirely and you didn't ask me about it. And I think that that's irresponsible of you. So here's the Antifa protest, just in case you haven't seen it. Classy, right? That's definitely the kind of movement that you want to not join because they're ridiculous and they use their time to stand there and yell at an old woman. I mean, really, if you've got an issue with somebody, there's a right way and a wrong way to deal with it. This is the wrong way, the really wrong way. And here's the woman being tweeted out by Maxime Bernier talking about how freedom of speech in Canada is important. And, well, here she is.
It's a cornerstone of our democracy and can never and will never be denied.
Thank you. And Maxime Bernier says, thank you so much, madam, for standing up for free speech. We need courageous people like you if we were to keep our country strong and free. So implying that the PPC people would organize a rally like the Antifa people organized is patently false. And this is the actions of Antifa, not People's Party of Canada. The implication of the Guelph Mercury or the CSA and CUPE is incorrect and irresponsible. I'm going to carry on. We were concerned that similar events might transpire on campus with our event, Williams said. We didn't have the infrastructure in place and the supports in place from campus security to be able to stop potential violence from happening. Williams further alleged that Peralvis threatened the university with bringing protesters to the debate and potentially disrupting the event. That never happened. That is a bold-faced lie. They are lying. And they retracted their statement, and I'll show you that they retracted. I'll just write that. I'll show you this quote first. It says, Peralvis denied the allegation, calling it absolutely false. Here's another quote that makes me sound like an idiot. Quote, 100% in no way, shape, or form, or in any misunderstanding way, I threatened to bring protesters, he said. I didn't say that. What I said, potentially, and I have the recording, I can play it back for myself, but I don't speak like that. I just don't speak like that. So again, irresponsible. Here is the Avro Post, and the Avro Post was in touch with CUPE 1334, and they called me when this allegation was made that I had threatened the university with protesters, and I said unequivocally not. And well, here's the Avro Post, and they say organizers told the Avro Post on Wednesday afternoon that Peralvis had threatened to arrive on campus with supporters to protest the debate if he was not invited. Jensen Williams, speaking on behalf of CUPE, said that they did not want violent protests similar to what occurred recently in Hamilton. Jensen, nearly 5 hours later, told the Post that her claim that Peralvis threatened to protest if he was excluded from the debate was false, and that it was University of Guelph administration who assumed there would be violence because of what occurred in Hamilton. And I want to go back here. I'll show you this. It says, I would not show up for an event I wasn't invited for. That's why I was trying to get an invitation. In an email to the Guelph Mercury Tribune, university spokesperson Lori Bona Hunt said nobody in the school's administration had a conversation like this with Peralvis. That's right. It was a bold-faced lie made up by CUPE and CSA. A bold-faced lie. Back to this. Further, Peralvis pointed to his attendance at other all-candidates events which have had no issues. I've attended the Italian-Canadian Club debate, I attended the Bishop MacDonnell High School debate, and both times I sat beside the communist candidate, he said, referring to Juanita Burnett. There were no issues, despite the fact that she called out my party twice while sitting next to me. No issues. I did say that. That's accurate. Back to this. Another issue facing the debate's organizers and eventually resulting in its cancellation was the province's policies around free speech on campus. First introduced last year, the province gave universities and colleges until the start of 2019 to implement policies around freedom of expression on campus. Under those new rules, post-secondary institutions will be monitored and could face funding cuts should they not comply with principles outlined by the province, such as ensuring campuses are places for discussion and free inquiry, and that they should not attempt to shield students from ideas or opinions that those students disagree with or find offensive, and that members of the university college may not obstruct or interfere with the freedom of others to express their views. I mean, yeah, terrible, right? How dare you have policies that ensure people can hear ideas they don't like? Oh no. Back to the article. The University of Guelph unveiled its new freedom of speech policy in time to meet the province's deadline. It's our freedom of expression to also decide who we believe will add to meaningful discussion, and it's up to us to decide who gets the platform and who doesn't. Actually, Hassan, it's not. It's not. The laws are in place to prevent you from doing that. It is not your right to do that. It is absolutely not. Sorry. Back to this. We've been reached out to by our constituents who are concerned about his presence, and at the end of the day, we have to listen to the student body. You know what's interesting? I have screenshots of Facebook discussions. I can show you what the student body was saying, and I can show you who protested. I've got all of those screenshots. Let me know if you're interested, or maybe I'll release it tomorrow in another video. Right? I think Jay Gibson's in there, and there's a whole bunch of other people. But it's quite interesting. All those screenshots and all those conversations. Yep. Okay, back to the article. Williams added that under that policy, campus police and the university would be barred from removing Peralvis from campus if there were to be any issues. We decided that it was in the interest of the safety of the students to cancel the event, she said. It was pretty much the last thing we wanted to do, but in the interest of being able to maintain our position of not giving him a platform, it's unfortunately the decision we had to make. Oh, so the whole point was to deny myself a platform. So they canceled the whole event in order to stop me from sharing my ideas with the student body. Isn't that crazy? And I think I think that it's very interesting. I've talked about this a few times through here. The use of the headline, the use of believing these people who have multiple times told inaccuracies, spread inaccuracies about the platform, about myself, about my party. Very interesting choice, Guelph Mercury. I disagree with it. And I think that I don't think it's very responsible for a newspaper to editorialize like that. I think it's pretty terrible, actually. And when you don't investigate what Western values are and you allow somebody to imply that it means white supremacy, again, that's irresponsible. Irresponsible to your readers, irresponsible to the subjects of the story, me, and irresponsible to Western values themselves. It has nothing to do with white supremacy. It has everything to do with the values of Canada. 152 years old, and I think deserving of some respect. The country was built on Western values: democracy, individual rights and freedoms, freedom of religious belief, and freedom to criticize religion, equality between men and women, equal treatment of all citizens, regardless of ethnicity, religion, or sexual orientation, the rule of law, which means every person, every citizen has the same laws applied to them. It doesn't matter if you're an 18-year-old kid just starting out or the Prime Minister of Canada. That is what rule of law is. Separation of state and religion, tolerance and pluralism, loyalty to the wider society instead of to one's own clan or tribe. Irresponsible, Guelph Mercury, to allow these people to say Western values are more about skin color than values. Our country deserves more. Thanks for watching. I know this was a long one. I tried to do it last night, but it didn't work out. My name is Mark Peralivas. That rhymes with for all of us. I'm the People's Party candidate for the Guelph riding, and I will fight for free speech. I will fight fake news. I will fight people who are willing to slander and libel people in order to shut down their speech. And I will call people out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.